I'm the worst person to be doing this. That's okay. Even when we're shy, when I can't do it, when I can't do it.
Well, hey everybody, welcome to Back Issues. I am Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Danielle.
But before we get started, let's talk about some of our friends online. Let's talk about funnyrama.com. You can check out that great comic book retailer. It's where we are right now. It's funny books, comics, and stuff in Lake Hiawatha, New Jersey. Stop by funnyrama.com. You'll learn more about this great store.
And if you get a chance, head over to comicsfix.com where you can play one flat rate and get access to hundreds of independent books. It's a really awesome service. You should definitely check it out.
And come see us at the Garden State Comic Festival on August 23rd.
Yeah.
That's right. We will be there, and these two ladies are from our sister show Bonus Round, and they're joining us today for a special Other Hosts Aren't Here episode of Back Issues. If you haven't checked them out before, you can visit a link right there in front of us for a cool episode from Bonus Round. What do you guys say Bonus Round is? I mean, I called it a video game playthrough. Ethan was fast to correct me. I still maintain I was partially correct, but why don't you explain a little bit more about the show that you guys do on a more or less bi-weekly basis?
Sure. Well, look, I love video games. I'm more of a contemporary gamer. But when I was younger, I wasn't allowed to have video games. I missed out on everything that led up to the greatness that is video games now. But my friend Danielle here absolutely grew up playing Nintendo. I think you had an Atari.
Yes,
Super Nintendo, all of it, right? She had access to it all. So she's taking me on a journey through time.
Through the gambit of classic games.
Yeah, where I'm getting to experience them as an adult now who understands to some degree the fundamentals of games and what they should and shouldn't have. So.
Yeah, back then it was like the Wild West. They didn't know what they were doing. So they were just like, put a little man there, he has to get over there, or maybe he doesn't. Who knows? If you're playing a game like Jekyll and Hyde for the NES or something. You know, where it's, I don't know what's happening, but they'll buy it.
Yeah.
Because what else are they going to buy?
Exactly.
These things come out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, you know, you get a feel for that whole classic frustration.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Many of our audience may remember those days of gaming, and if they don't, they can relive or first-time experience some of those heartaches and troubles that you get to experience for them.
Yeah.
It's almost messianic in your absorbing of the frustration.
Yeah, I take that on for you guys.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so check out Bonus Round in our channel's list of shows, but let's get to the comics, okay? So today I thought, hey, let's go with something new 52ian, that being Batman Death of the Family. This was kind of like Joker's re-debut as part of the New 52. You guys have seen the show, so you're a little bit familiar with the New 52, but for a quick summarization, the Flash went back in time and fucked everything up, and now everybody's young and different. So,
Typical.
in this, yeah, exactly. In this story, Batman has been active for about 5 or so years, but everything that you liked and remember about Batman also happened. So, Batman has the rich, full history that you remember and enjoy, but he's also got the youthful exuberance of a 32-year-old.
Well, he was busy in 5 years.
Yeah, he had 5 Robins in 5 years, which is pretty effing offensive when you think about just how it's a lousy track record.
Yeah.
I think they actually wound up kind of fudging it so like maybe some of them weren't Robins, but we know.
We're on to you, Batman.
Right before everything kind of went to shit, I mean changed for everybody and became fresh and new and great.
Right.
The Joker had been through the gamut. He had been kind of like, as you probably are familiar with, he had his origin kind of told by Alan Moore back in the 80s with Killing Joke. The Killing Joke was kind of like the definitive Joker story at the time. For Alan Moore, it was a Tuesday. It was just him doing a Batman story. He didn't give a shit. And by the way, I'm finding new stuff that's interesting or original or fascinating about that comic like 25 years later. Even the other day I was just reading it and I was like, oh, did he mean to do that? Probably.
I mean, right?
Yeah, but like when you hear him talk about it now, when you hear about Alan Moore talk about comics now, he's just so, oh, well, it's all just bullshit, isn't it? It's all just garbage, right? It's just a bunch of gun-toting, muscle-bound freaks trying to ward off homosexuality. Anyway, witches. So, you know, you kind of can't really take it for granted, But he doesn't really like Killing Joke. He's just like, well, I wrote it because I was under contract and they said you got to do one more Batman story, so I threw that out there.
Oh,
and
just...
but it wound up being like the definitive. He's like, so I thought I'd tell the Joker's definitive story, you know, as a one-off. as a contractual obligation. So, but it's amazing. Anyway, just to get a little bit about the Joker, we find out like the Joker was this schlub who was married to this chick, and she was expecting, and he was a poor comedian who couldn't quite get the punchlines right, and he wound up falling in with some gangsters. They had a way to steal the payload from Ace Chemical, where he used to work. Okay. And at the time that Alan Moore's referencing, which was like the 30s and 40s, there was like a Red Hood gang, or rather there was a gangster named the Red Hood who had like a bullet-shaped featureless red hood and tuxedo. So he was just like a tuxedo mask with a vibrator on his head and a big red cape. That's basically what he looked like. You'll see a picture of it in the edited version of this episode. But anyway, so to kind of ward off police and any other gangsters, they dressed him up like that to kind of make them scared of the Red Hood, even though they don't have anything to do who he is.
So it's like the Dread Pirate Roberts?
Yeah, he was like the Dread Pirate Roberts, exactly. So they dressed him up like that, they threw him in, and then the police were there, and they shot the gangsters, and Joker got scared by Batman, fell into the acid. The acid went through the Red Hood and bleached his skin so that it didn't kill him. Like, that was the idea. And in fact, in the 40s, before Crisis, before they rebooted everything and they made everything modern and cool, like, they told us, like, the Joker revealed that he was the Red Hood, and that's exactly what happened. So it's actually, like, they carried that over for, like, 60 years. Okay. Basically, one bad day. Right. And the Joker's point, because Joker kidnaps, he paralyzes the Commissioner Gordon's daughter, Barbara Gordon, a.k.a. Batgirl, and then kidnaps him, and then puts him through a, like, little roller coaster ride of pictures of his naked daughter writhing on the ground while paralysis is setting in. And I think he's naked too, and and he has like midget freaks like poking him with tasers and shit. It's really horrifying. It's his way of kind of showing that like anyone can go completely insane if they're exposed to one really bad day, just like he did. And in fact, just like Batman did. Batman had a really bad day, and he's Batman. Joker had a really bad day, he's Joker. So naturally, if the Commissioner has a really bad day, he'll become something horrifying. He doesn't, because he's a person, and he just gets over it, and he's like, well, a crazy person fucked up my life. That doesn't mean I'm crazy. Yeah. and thus, history was born. There's more to it, but, like, it's more about the duality between Batman and the Joker. Right. And since then, DC has been troubled with telling a really cool definitive Joker story. And some might tell you that there are some out there, but I say that they're all kind of lame. Joker is a bigger character than he has room for story. Like, the stories don't quite fit the character.
I was gonna say, he seems kind of like hard to write for.
Yeah, he's more of an elemental force than he is. Right. Like, I don't remember what villain says it, but he makes some comment like, when villains want to freak each other out, they tell each other Joker stories. Right, yeah.
So how like a boogeyman.
Yeah, so how can you live up to that and tell, like, a great Joker story?
Yeah.
At one point, an Arkham doctor told the Joker that he was dying as a way of trying to make him, deal with that, and it made him go like, well, then I'd better get all my shit in now. And he winds up, like, fucking over everybody. There's another story where okay, are you guys familiar with Mr. Mxyzptlk?
I am.
I'm not.
In the Superman animated series, is the best way he's described. It's played by Gilbert Godfrey. He's basically...
That's the only experience I have.
I mean, that's really the best way. There's this other dimension where loony bullshit happens, and Mr. Mxyzptlk, he has no vowels in his name. He has magic powers, and he sees Superman, and he's like, "Oh, you're great," and he like bothers him all the time. Batman has a other dimensional equivalent as well named Batmite, who's basically like Mr. Mxyzptlk, but he sees Batman stuff, and he's like, "I want to be like that," so he like dresses like Batman. Joker steals his powers, and then he like fucks up a lot of shit, and winds up like killing Batman over and over and over using magic powers, and then bringing him back to life and killing him again. Okay. And then he's gonna unmake the world, but then he realizes if he does that, then Batman and he won't exist in it, and so it gives him a temporary like loss of his powers, and Superman kicks his ass. And then Batman can't live with the reality of having died 1,000 times, so Superman like wipes his memory of that experience, and then they just go on their merry way. It's really weird. So like these are the kind of stories that they're like, this is the epic Joker story.
Yeah.
Oh.
So at one point, Grant Morrison, who's a big admirer of Alan Moore, he wrote a lot of like definitive Batman stories. He wrote Batman from Batman and the Sun to Batman R.I.P. He invented Batman's illegitimate bastard son Damian, whom I hate, but everyone else loves, so we won't get into it. He wrote Final Crisis. It was the last Crisis before the reboot. He's like, superheroes are like the modern mythology. They're like what the Egyptians drew on the walls in like the Pharaoh days. So he's really into that. He wrote a book about superheroes and gods. I think it's called Gods and Superheroes. I'll throw it up there, but he wrote a book about that whole thing. And
It's a fitting title.
yeah, exactly. And he was really into like that whole thing. He always infuses that level of attention and mythology and grandioseness to his superhero stories, which makes it really alienating and difficult to read. And at one point, there's this like angry police detective who like shoots the Joker and makes him like either have a perpetual he has nerve damage, so he's always smiling, and it's really creepy, but like dumb because like okay, it's more for like a self-contained story than it is for an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
And then either the same guy or some other guy, I can't remember, cuts the Joker's face off and then like and then hangs it on a wall. And the Joker lets him do it, and he's like, oh, that felt great. And then they rebooted the universe. And you're like, and that's what's featured on the cover here is Joker missing his fucking face.
Wow.
And they carried that over into the New 52. They could have done anything with the Joker, but they kept the whole, like, his face got cut off thing.
Well, it's edgy.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, like, and that kind of brings us to now, where the Joker still had all the adventures we enjoy, except for the ones we don't, unless we don't want to use them. Because the New 52 doesn't have, like, a map.
Okay.
It doesn't have, like, a plan of, like, this happened, this didn't, here's where we are. Like, they're just like, oh, and then,
Okay.
Like, did Superman get killed by Doomsday or not? Sure. And in this, like, the Joker had been missing or, like, not around for a year or so. And so the Joker returns, and it's like, oh shit, the Joker's back. Scott Snyder, the author of this Batman run, loves Batman, couldn't give a shit about the elemental stuff. He's just like, let's just tell cool Batman stories.
Okay.
And he's got his own interpretations of all the characters and what they mean and represent, but like he doesn't get all transcendental about it like Morrison does.
Okay.
So people, for some, it's a welcome change.
Okay.
You also have former Spawn artist Greg Capullo on pencils, and Capullo for me has been born to draw Batman.
Cool.
Like all his years on Spawn have been like preparation to draw.
Yeah.
A brooding dark figure with a big cape on a gargoyle is
Yes.
Batman.
Yeah.
So Joker returns in this story, and he's got plans.
Okay.
Because in the Batman continuity, Batman, he's always been kind of billed as a loner. Batman's always like about, taking on the sins of Gotham, and he's gonna, right all the wrongs, and he's a lone warrior, he's a vigilante. But like he also has had 5 Robins. They deparalyzed Barbara Gordon, so she's Batgirl again.
Okay.
There's all these different, and there's Alfred.
And Alfred, yeah.
So he's got like an army of bat people that he helps out.
But he's a loner.
But he's a loner. Joker finds this obnoxious, and he's like, no, it should be about you and me, and that's it. Like you've got your kingdom's gotten too crowded. You should be handling this. You've gotten soft in your old age, even though he's younger than he's ever been.
Right. And he's only been doing this for 5 years.
Yeah, clearly Snyder wants to tell this story in pre-New 52 continuity.
So Joker's made this decision.
Yeah.
Batman's only been here for 5 years, and Joker's been gone for like a year. He's been maybe dealing with him for a maximum of 3 years.
No, I think it's been 4. Joker's one of Batman's first villains, and I think they kind of kept
Yeah, but if he's been I see
so
what
like,
you're saying. But he didn't get everybody all at once.
No.
Like all the Bat family all at once. So
No.
that's kind of a rash decision.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he built it up, over 5 years.
I
So
guess.
by the 5th year, I guess he's like, okay, it's getting too much.
Yeah.
You can't pay attention to me.
Yeah.
He's like an overly obsessed girlfriend.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And that's why the title's called Death of the Family. 'cause-
Okay.
And it's also invoking the old title called Death in the Family, which was when the Joker killed Jason Todd, Robin 2. So it's supposed to invoke this feeling of, like, something big's gonna happen,
Yeah.
someone might die,
Right.
Joker's back, and he's unhappy with how soft Batman's gotten. This is the next story after the Court of Owls story, which you have read.
Yes.
Where Batman finds out that there's this underground organization called the Court of Owls who have been manipulating Gotham's underworld and high society for 200 years. And it caught Batman by surprise, and it almost killed him, and a lot of cool shit. It was a great way for Snyder to come out of the box and get 2 fans out of the deal.
Yeah.
But I like Joker's reaction, because he's like, you couldn't even handle a bunch of stupid old owls. He's like, you should have been able to take care of that with no problem, and it's because of all this nonsense. And I like that interpretation of Joker. This, kind of obsessed, this is my world. You and I are, the Penguin is stupid.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of things, there's missteps in the story as well, and we'll get into those. Anyway, so Joker winds up putting Batman kind of through the ringer.
Okay.
And he does so by revealing a secret that Batman has kept from the Bat family since, year 2.
Okay.
And the secret is that one time Batman fought the Joker, and then Batman took the Batboat into the Batcave. And when he got to the Batcave, there's a Joker card on the windshield.
Oh.
Which the Joker implies he put there when he got to the Batcave. The Joker came with Batman on the Batboat, and then figured out who he was, so he knows who everyone is.
Right.
And that's what his revelation is. He's like, I know who all of you are, and Batman knows that I know who all of you are. Because he's been keeping a secret from all of you.
Okay.
Yeah.
The Bat family, of course, even though they're deeply connected to him, and friends and family of his are like, what secret? Ooh! Which is the first misstep for me. But Batman says, okay, so one time I found a Joker card on the windshield, but it's impossible for him to have gotten in the Batcave because the boat had to submerge for more than 10 minutes, and it was going 60 miles per hour on the water. There's no way he was there. I also checked the cave because I thought maybe he was in the cave, and he was there's no way he got in the cave. And they're like, but he's done impossible things before. And he's like, yes, but I'm fucking Batman. I should know if anyone got in the cave, and he didn't. Okay. He's just trying to rattle you. They don't believe him.
Right.
And then Joker comes after each member of the Bat family individually.
Okay.
And that's the tie-in. See, every major crossover or every major event that takes place for any titular superhero has tie-ins. So, if there's a Batman book, there's obviously a Nightwing book. And Robin, too, came back to life and became the Red Hood. Ironically, because Joker was Red Hood and he killed him and stuff. Scott Snyder winds up going back and retconning everything about Batman's history, including the Red Hood stuff.
Okay.
And in the new continuity, Joker was the Red Hood, a criminal mastermind who created a gang of Red Hoods.
Okay. So it's a little different.
It's actually quite different, but it's it's got its roots in the Killing Joke, but it still manages to be something very different.
Okay.
I actually kind of dig it. I'm sad to have sacrificed what I know before to get it, but the story was kind of cool. Just the idea that before he became the Joker, he was just this really douchey criminal who was really brilliant.
But put together.
He was very put together.
Yeah. Okay.
And that's actually the same story in which Bruce Wayne becomes Batman. So Batman's first villain is the Red Hood.
Oh.
And when Batman first dons his costume, it's the last time he fights the Red Hood, and then the Red Hood falls into the acid.
Right.
Okay.
And there's a nice moment, actually, where Batman swoops down and starts making quick work of his foes, and the Red Hood sees him, and you see his pupil dilate, and he's like, hello. His first moment seeing Batman, and that's something that I don't think I've ever really seen before, so I like that a lot.
That's cool.
So anyway, and then he falls into the acid.
So when you say he goes after the Bat family, does he go after...
He goes after Barbara Gordon, Batgirl.
But he goes after Barbara Gordon, or...
Oh, he goes after Batgirl. No, he doesn't go after them in their secret identity form. So the question is, does he know who everybody is?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Batman insists he doesn't. But he did go after them, and he implies things, but it's always kind of nebulous.
Right.
And there's a lot of tie-ins where he deals with them individually. I didn't read that shit because I don't read tie-ins. Because tie-ins for me are not essential to the main story.
Yeah.
If they didn't feel it was worthy to put in the main.
Yeah, and it's written by somebody else, and it's their interpretation of the story. And I've seen too many tie-ins where they don't quite mesh, and so it really confuses people.
Okay.
So he winds up like screwing with everybody from the Bat family, including Commissioner Gordon, by the way. He winds up like giving the commission the idea is that the Joker feels like the world has kind of gotten a little fucked up. And that's not a reference to the fact that the New 52 has been in place and that everything has been reset.
Okay.
It's more that he feels that Batman has gotten soft, and as a result, things are not as they should be.
Okay.
Which is why he let his face get cut off, and to show Batman that like things are not right in the kingdom of Gotham.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm gonna put all your like Bat family people through the gambit, and I'm gonna like show you my feelings about all of this. So like, he also kidnaps Alfred.
Oh.
Which is why everyone's
no.
like, oh shit,
That's
he knows
kind
who
of
we
on
are.
the nose.
Yeah.
But it's because Alfred is Gotham's most prominent butler, and Joker's putting on a banquet, and he needs a butler to do that.
But that's kind of...
It's a little on the nose.
Yeah.
So, he winds up setting up shop in Arkham, and he uses all the key villains that are cool in his, like, gauntlet that he's putting Batman through.
Okay.
And there's a lot of amazing visuals, but it also makes a mistake of Batman has to fight his coolest villains to get to Joker, and he does so in, like, 1 or 2 panels, which kind of makes all the villains look really stupid.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if he can beat Mr. Freeze like that,
Yeah.
like, Mr. Freeze attacks, and so he, like, hits him with a fucking, like, heat thing.
Right.
Like, if you could beat Mr. Freeze like that, then you've told every Mr. Freeze story
Yeah,
ever
why
told.
don't you just do that every time?
But
Yeah.
I would, like, you could make the argument, like, Batman is in a, like, a I don't care zone, and he's like, I have to save my family
Yeah.
kind
Right.
of mode. So he's like, I just do the most violent, aggressive way to
right,
defeat
this
you.
could potentially not end well
Yeah.
for the villain.
But I I don't have time for you.
Yeah.
Right.
I mentioned Damian, Batman's son. He survives the New 52 and is brought in. And when Batman died, and by died I mean got sent back through time, because Darkseid shot him with the Omega Sanction, which is like a variant on the Omega beams, which is a variant on laser beams that shoot out of Darkseid's eyes. Darkseid is like pure evil, and his constant search is for like the end of life and how to obtain it and achieve it, and so forth.
Okay.
And Darkseid shoots Batman with a thing called the Omega Sanction, which is like 1,000 deaths or something like that, and it winds up like making Batman like go through like a bunch of different lifetimes from varying time periods
Oh.
Okay.
until he finally fights his way back to present day.
That sounds kind of cool.
It was a neat idea, Grant Morrison's idea, and a very like, oh, it's all about Batman cannot die because he's everlasting.
Okay.
Because so anyway, Batman dies, and Nightwing becomes Batman, and so he brings Batman's illegitimate bastard son Damian into the fold, and like becomes like his mentor. And he's like, you're going to be Robin. So there's a part of Bruce Wayne's like history and heritage in the Bat family.
Right.
So Dick Grayson becomes Batman, Damian becomes Robin, and the two of them fight crime as Batman and Robin for a time. Then Batman comes back, but he keeps Damian as Robin. And so Batman and son like battle evildoers.
Okay.
So Damian is Robin. Neil Adams did this amazing story where they kind of first introduce Ra's al Ghul, where Batman and Talia like spend the night together, and then he battles Ra's al Ghul in the desert, and it's really an awesome looking story as well as a really cool first Ra's al Ghul story. And then Grant Morrison wrote the story where like Talia comes back and she's like, I had a son with you, like that time that we banged, and I've been raising him in the League of Assassins, so he's like a killing machine, and he's the same age that you were when your parents were killed. So it's like, and now I'm going to give him to you.
Yeah, because I did my part.
Yeah.
I
did
made
my
him
half.
I made him a weapon, and
So,
now enjoy.
But now he's got hormones, so...
Yeah, good luck with all
Have fun with
that. And Batman does the best he can. I thought the character was obnoxious, but, you know, he grew on a lot of people. Not me, but whatever. So he's Robin at this point. So you have to understand that when Joker kidnaps the Bat family and starts threatening people, like, now his, like, 10-year-old son is in the thick of it.
Yeah.
Has fought the Joker before, but
he's
not like this.
But he's a killing machine.
He's a killing machine.
Right?
And Batman has to, like, keep him from killing people a lot.
You can't just You can't just kill people.
Yeah.
That's not what we do.
Scott Snyder has this idea that, like, Gotham's the kingdom and Batman's the king of Gotham, and so the Joker's the court jester who tells the king the truth in an amusing way, and the truth is that life is meaningless and violent. And so he, like, plays up this motif in a big, obnoxious way. And so he makes, like, all of his rogues gallery, like, members of the court. So, like, you know, Two-Face is the law, and it doesn't really hold together.
That's kind of weird, because there's such emphasis on Batman being the Dark Knight.
Yes. Yeah, that he's the knight for the king, not that he's the king.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's Joker's interpretation.
Well, yeah, and then who would be?
Yeah.
Oh, so at this point, he not only has Alfred, he's got...
Everybody.
Everybody.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, no. Joker makes quick work of everybody in tie-in stories.
Okay.
Snyder just basically says, like, oh, yeah, no, he just beat the shit out of everybody and brought him up.
Well, it's kind of interesting, though. Like, he makes quick work of them in probably either no panels that we see in there. Meanwhile, Batman takes care of his court in a similar fashion.
Right, that's true. Yeah, it's actually very interesting how that's parallel. I would love to believe that he did that on purpose. That's how I feel about a lot of comics, where I'm like, oh, that really meshes together. I really would love to have believed that happened.
Yeah.
So anyway, their chairs are like, have graphite on them, and the floor is covered in gasoline or some shit, so like, if they get up, they'll set everyone on fire.
Okay.
And then Alfred, who's like under Joker mind control, like laughing gas bullshit, like serves them each their like course, lifts up the crystal, the silver thing, and it's all their faces. Like, ostensibly, he cut off all their faces.
Right. Oh, he's got Batman too.
Oh, that's right. Batman lets him capture him.
Right.
Because he's like, I'm gonna kill everybody. Like, it's over.
Yeah. Whoa.
By the way, he didn't cut off anybody's faces. It was just a mind game.
Well, was it faces at all?
No.
Oh, okay. Like, it wasn't...
It was fun.
It's like, yeah, it was like something else. They don't really get into like what he uses for the faces.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, did he just
By the
find
way,
other people who look like him?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
Oh,
all their
that's messed
faces,
up.
by the way, are wearing masks. Further driving home the idea that he doesn't necessarily know who they are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Joker makes a comment that like he knows all their names and he wrote them down in a little book that he made from the wings of a bat.
That seems a little overly dramatic.
This whole book is very dramatic.
Okay.
But you know what's funny? Like, I bought it. It came out monthly, and I just bought every issue. And each issue, I'm like, oh shit!
Right.
Good.
Like, I had to know more.
Yeah.
Batman says, fuck that. Because, by the way, like, the banquet... Okay, the fight happened in Arkham, but the banquet took place in the caves that were linked to the Batcave.
Okay.
Further pointing to the idea that Joker knows who they are.
Right.
Batman is like, well, if you knew the caves, then you would know that I know these caves. And, like, he sets everything on fire and then, like, throws a batarang above them and there's, like, water up there. So, like, it all falls and, like, puts everybody out.
Okay.
And then, like...
But they're burning for at least a few seconds.
Yeah. So Joker, like, releases some friggin' gas and it makes them all like Alfred, where they're all like mind controlled and they all just start fighting each other.
And they got the crazy smile.
But Batman trusts them and he knows that they can handle it. So he leaves them to beat each other to death so he can fight the Joker in the caverns. It's actually kind of a sweet moment because he's like, no, I believe in them. I know they can handle themselves.
Right.
So he winds up fighting the Joker in the caves and the family winds up like coming together and, like, overcoming their mind control.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
No, I'm going to fix it.
He winds up leading the Joker, or the Joker winds up leading Batman, to the spot where the Batboat finally submerged before it actually led to the cave. And Batman's like, this is as far as you got. Because you don't want to know who I am.
Yeah.
But I do know who you are. And I've always known. And Joker's like, what? And it's this amazing scene where Batman's like, I know who you are. And by the way, we'll get into another aspect of this book in a minute, but, like, there's this moment where Batman's like... Because Joker's been calling him darling and sweetheart and, like, peach throughout the whole book as, like, this, like, kind of term of endearment.
Yeah.
It's kind of an homage to Dark Knight Returns, where Joker may be in love with Batman. Like, Frank Miller kind of infused this idea of, like, the Joker and Batman's relationship kind of being, like, more than friends.
Right.
And it's actually one panel, and it's the panel in Dark Knight Returns where he says, like, Batman, darling. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
But from that, everyone extrapolated, like, maybe the Joker's in love with Batman.
Right.
So in this book, there's a lot of sexual language that the Joker uses as like a term of affection for Batman.
Mm-hmm.
That was how it was in the books that we picked up. When they collected it, they took out every sexual reference Joker has at Batman.
Oh.
Why?
Because they don't want Joker to be gay. Like, they don't actually say what happened. They just did it. They censored their own books in the trade paperback form. So if you pick up a trade paperback of Batman Death of the Family, you will not get the purest version of the comic. You will get a neutered version.
Who complained about that?
I don't think anyone complained. I think editorial reread it and they were like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
And they made them change it. I don't think that any person who read it was like, whoa! Joker's gay? That's...
Right, yeah.
And by the way, he's not! Like,
Yeah.
or if he is, who cares? But I don't think that it's about Joker being gay. It's about rattling the Batman.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
about showing the Batman, like, affection. It's about making the Batman uncomfortable with
Yeah.
Joker's affection for him.
Yeah.
Like, it's all games.
Yeah.
And
It's just an aspect.
yeah, and by the way, they actually wind up changing some dialogue and thought boxes to remove subtlety and make things more overt. So, like, things you might have interpreted are now clear as day.
Right.
It's almost as though editorial reread it and went like, this is too weird. And the censorship shit really bothers me.
Yeah.
So, anyway, but there's this moment where Batman, like, is rattling the Joker at the moment where the Bat boat submerged. So it's this big, like, waterfall in the caves. And Batman's like, but I know who you are. I figured it out years ago. Like, I know what your real name is. And if you come here, darling, I'll whisper it in your ear. And Joker covers his mouth with his hand, which has a joy buzzer in it, like blasts his face, and then jumps. Like, Joker's like, I would rather die
Yeah.
than live with you not playing my game. Like Batman's like, you're a criminal to me. Like, you've built me up as this thing to be achieved. Like, you don't want to know who I am. Like, you let go of the Batboat. I know you don't know who I am or who they are
Yeah.
because you need to keep this going.
Yeah.
But I don't care about you. I learned who you were a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think was a bluff, by the way.
Oh.
Yeah.
So the Joker is gone for now,
Yes, and he hasn't been back really since.
but obviously no body.
Oh,
Yeah.
No, the only thing they found was his freaking face.
It's like, look, you're going down the waterfall, the waterfall or the water slide, and you got your bikini on, and the bottom falls off. You got to hang on to that.
Yeah.
You got to
It's
hang on to your
It's
face.
not tied properly.
No.
It's gone.
Yeah.
In fact, there's a character they created called the Joker's daughter. And by the way, before you ask, no, she's not the Joker's daughter. She's just some crazy bitch. She's basically just their attempt to do another Harley Quinn. The Joker's daughter winds up finding the face in the sewers, and she eats it.
Is the Joker a supernatural being?
No.
When you get down
He's
to
just a crazy
Well, then how the hell does he
person.
survive a fall down a waterfall? And then
Well, Joker falls
the
down all kinds of
infection
ways.
that he must have gotten.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no... Because Batman must punch him at least...
Oh, Batman punches his face off.
Well, okay, so then, like... How...
Yeah, no, he would be dead.
His body should be ravaged by, like, gangrene.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, no. It was a horrible idea. And what's even more obnoxious, I think more obnoxious in the face, is that when they have flashbacks to Joker, like, when he was the Joker, he has those fucking scars from Dark Knight.
Oh, like the movie?
Yeah. They retconned in Heath Ledger's scars, because that's popular.
So wait, does the Bat family survive punching each other?
The Bat family overcomes their mind control bullshit. They all get cured. But, as a result of this experience, they kind of disband.
Oh.
They're still themselves, but they don't, like, work with Batman. Even though they do almost shortly thereafter. Because, like, there are books called, like, Batman and Robin and Nightwing and Red Hood and the Outlaws. Like, there's all kinds of shit where, like, they team up again. But anyway, the implication here is that the Joker's secret breaks up the Bat family. So Batman's more isolated than he's ever
Right,
been.
so the Joker won in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So wait, does he not have any Robin right now then?
No, because Damien's dead.
Oh.
Not from this, unfortunately.
Oh.
Damien's hyper-aged, muscle-bound clone named Leviathan stabbed him with a sword. There were some implications in here that I really wanted to see that never happened.
Yeah.
One of them we've talked about, but like the other one was it was actually a mistake on my part. And there's this moment when Joker creates his court, and he dresses all the supervillains as members of the court, and he dresses orderlies from Arkham as the Justice League. Oh. But the regular people, so like he dressed like this heavyset woman as Wonder Woman, and she's like, oh. Yeah, it's really like, let's do this.
Yeah.
So, but I misinterpreted the art style because I thought they were dressed as the old pre-New 52 continuity costumes.
Gotcha.
And it was my interpretation of the idea that Snyder was kind of trying to slyly imply that the reason why the face bullshit carried over is because Joker didn't change from post-Crisis to New 52. I thought that, like, Joker remembers one way, everything changed, and no one else remembers reality the same way.
Right.
So he's like, everything's different, and he's like, like, I gotta shake everything up.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I know that you're not some alternate Batman. You're my Batman.
Yeah.
But reality changed you.
That's cool, though.
But I remember. And, like, him dressing them up as the original Justice League was his way of, like, showing him, like, that, like, you know, I'm not crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
I remember a different reality than the one we're in.
Yeah.
And it would have been a really cool dynamic of Joker remembering all the shit.
Yeah.
Like, even, and, like, for him to go, like, I know that in this new reality I'm supposed to be like this age, but I'm not.
Yeah.
And I remember my wife and child and
Right.
all this.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, paralyzing Barbara Gordon, but she's not anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
he should remember I thought it'd be cool if he remembered everything.
Yeah.
And was this just the one thing, because, okay, on Crisis in Infinite Earths, you know, they needed to reboot everything because there was all this, like, shit from the 40s that they didn't want to have to explain. Also, everyone's, like, what, 80 years old? No. Like, we have to make it younger. So, like, they rebooted everything by having, like, there was the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, and the Anti-Monitor winds up, like, being beaten by the Flash, by Barry Allen, the original Flash, and he sacrifices his life to save the multiverse, or the Earth, because, like, the multiverse was, like, all these different planets, and, like, they condensed the multiverse into one Earth to save them from the Anti-Monitor, and the Flash, Barry Allen, had a hand in that. But he winds up dying to save it. And Wally West became the Flash after that. And everyone in the universe remembers that Barry Allen died to save the universe, but they don't remember anything else. You know, they remember the universe was under threat and Barry Allen saved it. But that's it. But there was one guy who's locked up in Arkham who remembers everything else.
Oh.
And I would love it if they had carried that over and had the Joker be the guy.
Yeah, that, like, even helps to, you know, emphasize the elemental force of
the Joker.
Yeah. Not even reality changing around him can change
who he is.
Yeah.
What he is.
Yeah.
But it does, and he was the Red Hood, and he was a criminal, and all.
Right.
You know.
The art's really good.
The art's great. The story's cool.
It is.
It's a little bit weird.
Yeah.
That's okay.
But I would recommend it. I would say you guys should check it out.
Absolutely.
But in single editions, right?
No, I mean, read it all in one chunk. Okay. But you know, I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. But
I think she was just talking about the fact that they changed the
edited everything down.
Oh yeah. Read it in the floppies. Yeah. Because this collected edition is bullshit.
Okay.
Batman: Death of the Family by Greg Capullo and Scott Snyder. New 52, you can pick it up at your local comic book store, like Funny Books Comics and stuff. Or you can pick it up online. I got it on Comixology, and I don't actually remember. I haven't checked yet to see if they had updated my book, because they could do that.
Yeah, digitally they could change whatever they want.
So either don't tell anybody, or if they do, freak out and tell DC Editorial not to do it. I haven't checked, but I will, and I'll write a little thing in the description if they did it.
Yeah.
But I want to check, because they could easily do that. They could just go ahead and update the new digital versions. But if you have your floppies, pull out like the third chapter and compare it to the trade, and you will see the difference. Or just Google it. I think somebody else actually did it side by side. You don't have to do all that work. Somebody else did all that work. PS4, someone else did all that shit. I want to look up a theme song from the 1960s that I only remember from a thing that my dad sang one time. Oh, there it is. Somebody else put it up.
And I only know like half of a lyric.
Somebody else did all the work for me. Thanks a lot, random person on the internet. Shows how interconnected we all are.
Yep.
Anyway, so I want to thank my guest hosts for joining me, and if you haven't already, check out Bonus Round, their show, and visit us at the Garden State Comic Fest to see them perform a live version of Bonus Round at our table. You can check it out. You guys decided what you're going to play? I mean, you can't
Well,
say
I don't
what
know.
it is.
Yeah.
Part of the thing is that she doesn't know what it is. She gets to be surprised like the rest of us.
I'm always surprised.
Yeah.
It's never not been a surprise.
No.
Yeah, just how fucking crappy they are.
Like to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us on for this crossover.
Yeah.
We didn't even fight before we teamed up.
That's true.
We can fight now.
Thanks a lot for joining us. I am Sal.
I'm Tiffany.
I'm Danielle.
And we'll see you next week.